Whatever you guys are.
Do any of these situations sound like you?
Do you start drooling when you walk through a comic book store?
Do you paint your face green and yellow in front of a cheese head to watch a Packer game?
Rogers! Discount double check!
Do you know every car made by make, model, and year? 67 Mustang. Fastback with dualies.
Do you play your trombone more than you eat, sleep, or talk to your friends?
Do you turn your computer off at night and get this awful, empty feeling like you just pulled the plug on a loved one?
If you answered yes to one or more of these questions, then maybe you are a geek.
Maybe you were just realizing it. Or maybe you suspected it all along.
In case you feel you might be a geek, Alex Langley has written a guidebook to help you on your path to geekdom.
He shares advice on how to survive in this world, in the geek lifestyle you crave, and how to identify which type of geek you truly are.
Listen, as we share wisdom from the Geek Handbook, practical skills and advice for the more likable, modern geek.
By Alex Langley.
So what is a geek actually?
Dictionary.com defines a geek as a non-mainstream person, often unfashionable or socially inept, with an eccentric devotion to a particular interest, usually perceived as overly intellectual.
Through the years, geeks have often been shunned by their peers, and their intellectualism has not been encouraged.
But the times are changing.
Yup, technology and science have saturated our culture, and the computer and video game generation is here.
The term, normal, has been redefined, and people aren't laughing at geeks anymore. We want to join them. We want to get their super smart inside jokes.
Have you heard the phrase, the meek shall inherit the earth?
Well, I've got news for you.
The geeks have inherited the earth.
Geek is chic. It's now. It's it, baby.
Just look around.
Every year, superhero films pull in millions upon millions of dollars.
The video industry annually rakes in around $40 billion.
And some of the top-rated television shows in recent history include one about a group of geeky physicists and engineers dealing with their hot, dumb, blonde neighbor. Bazinga!
And another about people being lost on a time-traveling island.
There is a reason the geek phenomena is dominating pop culture right now.
It's freaking awesome. Geeks may someday rule the world. Do you want to be a part of that?
As a geek in training, you might want to investigate where your geek specialties really lie. Let's investigate the major geek subtypes to see if any of these sound familiar or pique your interest.
Bear in mind, however, that a person is not limited to a single type of geekiness.
In fact, many of these subtypes often go hand in hand with each other.
Let's start with the tabletop geek.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Enough said.
History geek.
Master of the history book, a history geek's job is to know everything that's ever happened, no matter how insignificant or obscure it may be.
Activity of choice.
Reading about wars and famines and plagues. You know, the fun stuff.
Location of choice? The library.
If you find yourself interested in history enough to surround yourself with moldy books and other like-minded individuals, you might have what it takes to become a history geek.
Sci-fi geek.
Activity of choice. Reading or watching anything sci-fi.
You usually find them at home, buried in either a book, television screen, or computer monitor.
They can name the captain of every Star Trek series ever made and can recite the lines to the Star Wars trilogy.
Special note.
Sci-fi geeks can occasionally get in their heads that they're going to invent the next great piece of future tech.
Sometimes, this leads them to accidentally losing a finger or two to a homemade lightsaber.
Other times, it leads them to getting a PhD in physics.
Either way, it's best to keep a close eye on them.
Sports geek.
Sports geeks are a different breed.
They can be found spending countless hours putting together the perfect roster for their fantasy football teams.
Often you can find two guys arguing whether the 85 Bears could have taken on the 62 Packers, and a true geek can back her up with an arsenal of statistics.
Many are convinced they could have gone pro if only coach had put him in during that key game.
Or if he hadn't blown his knee out junior year.
Or if they had any talent at all.
Next we have the
Music Geeks.
There are two subgroups in the music geek category.
Musician geeks are often incredibly talented.
At school, you'll find them in the band room at any spare moment.
Many have been known to sleep and eat lunch in the practice room.
They most likely play more than one instrument and write all types of music.
Then there are the
Music Geek wannabes. The guitar is often the instrument of choice for self-learners, as it's easy to carry, sexy looking,
Ow, ow!
and there are plenty of instructional videos on YouTube.
If you quiz them on any major artist from the past decade, they will probably impress you.
Music geeks know music better than they know their own family.
Their guitar is their sister, and their drum set is their stepbrother.
Brad, don't touch my drum set! Who needs human contact when you have the power of music?
Comic book geek.
Before Hugh Jackman appeared on the big screen with his portrayal of Wolverine, the character Wolverine was first introduced in The Incredible Hulk, number 181, not in the X-Men comics.
Many people will hear that sentence and think, huh, that's interesting.
A comic book geek, however, will hear that and not already know that, but they will correct the sentence by adding,
And while that last issue is credited as his first appearance, technically he was first introduced on the last page of The Incredible Hulk, number 180.
Activity of choice for the comic book geek?
Reading comic books.
Watching comic book movies.
arguing whether DC or Marvel have lost their minds with their latest retcons.
Reading more comic books.
And of course,
Reading them again.
Gamer geek.
Shh, hey, we're down. Shh, 10-4.
For the uninitiated, video games are simply movies that do what you want them to do.
For gamer geeks, however, video games are a gateway into entirely new dimensions, filled with over-the-top heroics, monstrous foes, and brain-bending puzzles.
Gamer geeks become obsessed with their games.
You will find them in front of a TV monitor with a glazed-over expression due to frequent bouts of Call of Duty-induced insomnia, often in sweatpants and a hoodie.
Feeding a gamer is a relatively easy task.
Simply pour a Mountain Dew into his mouth once in a while,
Throw in some Cheetos.
and he will be good for another few hours.
Special warning to any of you who live with or interact with gamer geeks.
Never, under any circumstances, say to them,
It's just a game.
Automotive geek.
Activity of choice.
Fixing up his car, washing or waxing his car.
Where to find them?
The
garage or the driveway. We all use cars, but how many of us actually know how they work?
The auto geeks have familiarized themselves with the many parts of a vehicle.
Including the intricate belts, nozzles, and doodads. That'll tell you the horsepower, torque, and vitality points of your engine.
If you can remove anything from the hood of your car, put it back, and still have it function, then you've taken the first step toward becoming an automotive geek.
And then there is the world's most famous geek.
The Tech Geek.
The world must have tech geeks.
While their obsession with technology may ultimately destroy them, their technological brilliance improves the way we do everything.
Activity of choice.
Taking things apart to figure out how they work.
Building their own laser beams.
And of course, finding the end of the internet. Location of choice, the internet. And you can easily spot a tech geek.
They often lack fingerprints due to electrical burns.
And they sport arm braces to help ease the carpal tunnel they gain from spending 22 hours a day at the computer.
Now that we've given you some background on the basics of today's geeks, maybe you recognize yourself.
If you do realize that you're one or more of these kinds of geeks, don't worry.
It just means you're going to know everything about that subject, giving you an honorary PhD in, pardon the expression, kick it too.
According to Carrie Tucker in her book, I Love Geeks,
At the end of the day, geeks are no different from anyone else.
no, wait a minute, that's a total lie.
You are different, and that's what makes you great.
You have smarts, wit, and superior abilities all rolled up into one package.
Who cares if you're socially awkward?
To quote British actor and writer Simon Pegg,
being a geek is all about being honest about what you enjoy and not being afraid to demonstrate that emotion.
It means never having to play it cool about how much you like something.
It's basically a license to proudly emote on a somewhat childish level, rather than behaving like a supposed adult.
Being a geek is extremely liberating. You will come to realize that being a geek is really cool.
To quote Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, as he shouted after many a game of Thunderdome.
I'm cooler